Everett,
Lucas.
where the hell did all of those Diet Cokes go?
Many of them, most of them, have disappeared down my gullet and into the recycling bin. You won't find them.
3 days ago when I was here, there was approximately 630 in your refrigerator.
I'm sure you'll find the figure was closer to 6.
I have a splitting headache, and the only thing that was going to cure this was a Diet Coke. I came over here seeking respite, you see.
Respite, I'm sure you'll find, is the word you're looking for.
You know what, you're shouting. And I am just appalled that they could all have just vanished.
Somebody broke in and stole my Diet
I was
Coke.
going to say, did you host an orgy over the weekend?
No, I've been having a flare-up of an ugly skin condition.
I do know that I recently learned you were the star of Dawson's 20-load weekend. And then later, Dawson's 50-load weekend.
And we did another picture.
Who are you? Weren't you listening? I told you I was the star.
We had to stop at 32 loads. So our third picture was Dawson's 32 load weekend. Sorry, kids, we didn't make it.
Welcome to the Let's Get Bread podcast, where we talk about all things sex, money, food, and religion. It is, we're closed out Thanksgiving weekend. We made it, kids.
November was a struggle.
November, well, yeah, I mean, I don't like November. It's a weird month. It always has been.
Yeah, I have grown to despise November.
My daughter turned 5 on the 26th.
That's true. She sure did.
And so that is the highlight of my November now. But other than that, I'm just always like, meh. And I grew up in the Midwest, so that was when like we kind of got snow. And so that's like the beginning of the end, you see. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Everybody starts drinking a rack of Labatt's in the morning and
I will say, though, the weather here in California, this is what I live for.
gorgeous, yeah. Tank top and shorts the other day walking around.
65 crisp.
Gorgeous. Yeah, the day of Thanksgiving, I was cooking a bunch. And even in the depths of like, oh my God, I have to glaze this goddamn turkey again, I still was like, it's so beautiful outside.
Yeah. Well, you turned it out with the turkey. Your white meat was excellent, and I actually don't really care for white meat.
Oh.
Yours was great. You did it.
That turkey was. There was a lot of taking it in, taking it out, and putting it back in, and glazings and bastings and.
Well, and I watched you spatchcock that motherfucker.
I spatchcocked that someday.
I didn't like it. It made me sick.
Yeah, I've never done that before. That was the first turkey I've ever roasted for a crowd, no less. I cooked for 11 people total.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was perhaps biting off more than I could chew. You made a delightful pecan pie.
It was my first ever.
Really?
That was the first time I've ever made that.
Former guest and friend of the pod, Mimi Landreau, bona fide Southerner, loved it.
Mm-hmm. I watched her eat, and then I watched her, and she was like, I'll just have a bite. And she just kept doing it. She was eating right from the pan. And I said, you better work. And I made that crust from scratch. It wasn't even store-bought.
Yeah. Thanksgiving is when magic and miracles can happen, kids. A week ago, I was a sobbing pile of gelatin with teeth in it on my couch. Okay. I was lying on my couch all day, every day, just watching a candle burn down. And that was it.
I had to come over and clean up all the Kim Crawford laying around.
And then somehow on 2 days before Thanksgiving, I started cooking a little bit. I cooked a little bit more on the day before. Day of, cooked a little bit more. Okay. Was it worth it?
Yes, it was a darling time. I loved it. It was a darling time.
Mike Duncan said I needed work on my upper body strength.
Oh God, that was the best part. Yeah. TJ turned it out. TJ's funny. I love TJ.
TJ Jackson.
Jackson.
Another Southerner, fussy eater. And by that I mean a pescatarian with no dairy. A little few too many dietary restrictions on that one for my taste.
You know, my major question to you whenever I find myself in group settings that you're involved with, and in this home specifically, is, am I ever going to be a priority to you? Will I have to share you forever?
The answer to that is... What was the question?
You know what I'm saying, Beth.
Okay, yeah. I suppose we should get on with our topic because...
Baby.
What do you got? What are we talking about today?
First dates.
First dates, not the second, not the third. Kids, we're talking first dates.
How much stock do you put into a first date?
A lot, generally. It is the make or break. It is, if I can survive 2 hours plus with you and find it pleasurable, that immediately makes me like, yeah, subscribe. Let's do again.
Mm-hmm.
If that first date goes badly, not a lot's convincing me to give you another bite at the apple.
What if they don't know it went badly, but you yourself know you're not interested? Do you go a second time, or are you like, nope, that was painful? No,
Absolutely not.
you're done.
If
One
it
and
went
done.
badly the first time, I'm not generally going to, unless there is some very clear reason why things are off. And it's got to be a really good reason. It can't be like, sorry, I'm just 2 days sober from heroin and I'm just in a bad mood. Like, that's not a good reason why. That's not a good time to be giving somebody a second date.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't think of anybody who we had a terrible first date and I gave him a second chance and we went out and had a beautiful time afterwards.
There's been times where I could tell someone was too nervous, and it wasn't necessarily, they weren't being weird. It was just they were really nervous. So I was like, I don't feel like I got the full picture of who you were, and I'm interested to find out who that is. So it wasn't, they didn't give me the ick enough from their nerves to say no, but then I would go back the second time, and sometimes it improved, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, you were actually better the first time.
Oh, so you're doing the America's Next Top Model kind of thing. I don't think the judges are ready to see you go that. Yeah, if you're super nervous, can't keep it together. Yeah, sorry, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not for me. It's not a thing unless, again, only Siths deal in absolutes. Okay. So there's got to be some counterbalancing thing on the other side. Maybe you're super nervous, but if, I don't know, you got a big dick. No fucking Lou. Even that can't overcome problems, it turns out. What do you know?
2 hours is typically what you would spend with someone. What if it's like, just like you, like, what's the shortest date you've ever been on?
Probably 30 minutes. It was just after I'd moved to Los Angeles, and I went on a date with a man, an older gentleman, probably 45, something like that.
Which is young for you.
No, that'll be enough of that. Thank you. And we went to an ice cream joint on Melrose, which is, low stakes, right? Ice cream, usually, I don't want to do a full sit down meal because then there's a lot more time constraints and it's sort of like pressure to like, oh shit, the dessert hasn't been here yet. I shouldn't leave. We go for ice cream. He tells me all about his super important job. It's something very classified, and he keeps, I lived in DC for 10 years. Yeah. I do not give a single shit about what skiff you work in all day if you can't get your phone. It does not impress me. And then he was talking about how he said the N-word 2 times. He's a white man, said the N-word 2 times.
Hard R?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about Oprah, so my jaw hit the table. When I tell you, I just cocked my head to the side and just looked at him, and it was some story about how Oprah had tried to get into an Hermes store in Paris. Do you remember this back when?
No.
Oprah was shopping in Paris and wanted to go to Hermes, but they closed. And so she was hoping to leverage her social capital and billionaire status to get them to open the store up again. And my date, who's a 45-year-old plus white man, in the course of the story said that she was acting like an And then he said, and her people, I was on the phone with her people and I told them that. And I remember saying, oh, go on, tell me, what did you say? What exact word did you use? And he repeated himself with the N-word. It was out of control. And then he told me that he carries a gun, which makes it sound like I got mugged. But he told me that he was also like, one of his favorite parts of the job is he gets to deal with all these weird people and he gets to carry a gun. And then my ice cream was melty at that point. It's like, gosh, look at the time.
Yeah.
What do you know? It's like, do you want to ride home? I said, nope, I'll sprint. Good. I'm perfectly fine. Never heard from him again.
Yeah, no, that's fucked up. Did he try to reach out, or it was just very clear?
Heavens, no, yeah. Very clear.
How did you find him?
How did I find him? This might have been I can't remember. Could have been. I haven't had Grindr since the fucking Obama years. It feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It was not. I didn't meet this one in the wild.
I have not heard a white person use the N-word.
He's also European. That was his excuse. Also, when he saw my face like that, he said, "Oh, I'm European." as if to be like, yeah, I don't have an American sensibilities or sensitivity with that word. And I was like,
yeah, what a moron.
How did
I can't.
Yeah, that was unreal. That actually might have been the reason I deleted whatever fucking app that.
And then that's the worst date you've ever been on.
No.
That's okay. You've already got me beat. That would ruin. I would have to take a seat for a while after that.
That was bad. That was right after I'd started stand up too. So I was talking about that for a while on stage. Whew. Yeah.
45 using the N word, blames it on being from Europe. What country?
Iceland.
Oh, honestly, I'm not. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Bjork is from Iceland. She's very
serious. I bet Bjork doesn't use the N word in anger.
Iceland was my favorite country I've ever been to.
Oh, sure.
But the only reason I say like that is just because it is not diverse at all. It's just like very, I wouldn't even call it, this is probably rude to say, but it's a second world country.
Okay. You want to expand on that?
They have some technology. They have some of the things we have, not everything. And it's just very rural.
Got it.
Sheep everywhere.
In its own lane.
Stores closed at like 6, 7 p.m. You know,
Oprah's not getting into Hermes. I'll tell you what.
But it was lovely. It's my favorite place I've ever been.
Mm-hmm. What was your worst first
date? I went on a date once with a life coach who...
First mistake.
But, you know, whatever. And I get there and you know how gay people can't sit normal?
Yeah.
This man had his body contorted in all the most faggiest types of way. Mm-hmm. Leg over.
What sort of chair? Are we talking recliner? Are we at a restaurant?
He was sitting on a bench waiting for me. He had bought my coffee, which I appreciated a lot. Mm-hmm. And I get there and, you know, it's hi, whatever. And immediately he's just like staring at me, smiling. And I'm like, something feels off. It was giving meth a little bit, but I didn't know. It was either meth or he had just taken his Adderall and was just like, whatever.
Locked in.
Yeah. And just kind of staring at me. And I just was like, how are you? And he's like, I'm good. And then we just kind of kept looking at each other. And then I was like, so, you're a life coach. Tell me about that. And he was like, just kind of going off and you blah, 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 blah about how important it is and the work he does. And then finally he's like, so what do you do? And then I started to tell him like, oh, I'm a screenwriter, do whatever. 10 seconds into me telling him my shtick, he gets up on the bench, he puts both feet on the bench and he starts stretching out his hamstrings. And he's like, I'm like watching him and I like pause and I'm like distracted. And he goes, oh man, this stretch feels so good. And then we shift gears completely from what I was talking about to then him and his brother.
Was he sitting on the back? Like on the
he was whole gargoyle.
Oh.
Like he was fully perched, like upright, like ass in the air. There's a woman across from us and I'm petrified because I'm thinking he's talking loudly about how he's a life coach. I'm on a date with him. This fucking woman, if she thinks I'm going to this guy for advice, are you fucking kidding me? So then I'm like, yeah, I have a history. Like I work in behavioral health. I've worked for like a treatment center. And he's like, oh, my brother needs treatment. And I was like, is it your brother or is it one of those situations where you're speaking like on behalf of your brother? Like, you know, and I was like, oh, what is his drug of choice? And he goes, meth. And I was like, oh, apple doesn't far fall from the tree. And so we like talk about that for a little while. And he's like, but you know, like it's his choice, you know, like it's not the worst thing in the world. I was like, meth is pretty bad. Well,
have you heard of super meth? Oh, that's bad.
So then oh man. And it wasn't bad in terms of like, he obviously didn't use the N word, but I was battling for my fucking life. It was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It was Return of the King. Like it was just, I was crawling out of my skin to get out of there.
Oh, I see. Yeah. The conversation was just bad.
It was bad. He smiled too much. He was corny as fuck. Like when it talked about life coach, I was like, so how do you know someone's ready to make a change in their life? I'm just asking all these questions, just trying to like,
right.
Yeah.
Let's keep the interview going.
And he was like, you know, it just comes down to who wants to win.
Ew.
And it was just corny. And I wish I could remember more direct quotes, but I think I forgot to save myself. You know, like, and I'm usually really good at remembering bad things that have happened to me. But with this one, I was like, I got to put this away. I got to lock this somewhere else. But oh man, I never want to see him again.
Good. That's good. That's wise.
There's been people who've been meaner to me though.
On a date.
One guy, right when I moved to LA, I was like a month into living here. I shouldn't have even been going on dates because I should have just been trying to meet friends, not whatever. But this guy, I'm sitting at
a man has needs.
I'm sitting at a booth at Koi Sushi. Have you ever been there? It's like this really ritzy, bougie, whatever, sceney spot. There's this huge flower backdrop at the bar, and my back is facing it. And he's sitting in front of me, and he's like, "Would you ever mind moving?" And I was like, I like move a little bit. And he's like, "No, I mean like get up out of the booth." And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, I just want to get a picture of the sign and like the backdrop." And so I got up out of the booth. He took a photo of the backdrop and was like, "Okay, you can sit again."
That was your date?
He put it on his Instagram story.
Oh, I don't care for that at all.
That was meaner, but at least the conversation like was better. This guy was like on meth, the life coach. Also, no one should be going to see him.
Yeah. We'll on Patreon. We got to get a Patreon to name names. So we got
He and lots of people. He's successful. He has his own content. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What was the best first date you've ever been on?
I do you like going on dates?
No, not particularly. I'm not a play the numbers game kind of guy like that.
I love meeting new people. I love going on first dates because it's like, I find people very fascinating. I hate group settings, but I like one-on-one settings a lot. And so meeting new people, it's like, it's more interesting. But I think, I don't know. I've had a lot of really good, like, it's going to be awkward because it was with my ex, probably for like 3.5 years. But our first date, we met on Grindr. I was 22 years old. I was living in Grand Forks, North Dakota. He was living in Crookston, Minnesota. And I was like, would you ever want to go rollerblading? Like, it was a very cute little juvenile thing. And we were rollerblading through the town I was living in. And he didn't know how to rollerblade, but he didn't tell me he didn't. So I grew up playing hockey, so it's very easy for me, but he sucked the entire time. And so I had to like hold his hand and like hold him up. It was very cute.
Yeah, that's I know. A romantic comedy.
And then we ended up dating for like 3.5 years. And yeah, so that like comes to mind. That was really sweet.
And so what did you do to ruin that relationship? That sounds sweet. That sounds like the kind of date you would write for a character in a film. Like you would want to pick something that's sort of out of the way. Like that's acceptable. If somebody suggested let's go rollerblading, I'd probably call them a faggot and be like, no, I'm gonna.
Well, and he like was so nervous to go rollerblading because obviously he didn't know how, and so he had to borrow his rollerblades from his friends. Like there was so much at stake for him. Like he went to his friends to get the rollerblades to then just suck. Like I remember at one point he fell and like I had to pretend to not see it, you know. But I was like, well, you fell on your ass. I'm like, ow. But it was there was a lot at stake, and that was just really cute. And also I was like 22. He was the first guy.
That's sweet. That's cute and sweet. And I would not call him a faggot if I was that age.
No, we're still on good terms. He's a great guy.
God. Yeah, I can't imagine like somebody being like, hey, we're going to go skydiving for a first date. We're going to go fishing. I have precisely no problem being like, I fucking hate skydiving. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't even get you to do things you enjoy. I wanted to go to Lady Gaga with you and you're like, absolutely not.
Oh, no. A huge concert? And I'm not on stilts and I have to look through the forest of thick necks to see the stage for the singing flea circus. No, absolutely.
Dare you?
Absolutely no. Not doing it.
What was your favorite date?
I mean, hands down, the best first date I've ever had was with my David. May his memory be a blessing. We did. I met him at a show. A friend introduced us at a Justin Vivian Bond show in Manhattan. And I remember when I left the show, it wasn't entirely clear. I could tell he, had heart eyes, hearts for eyes when he was looking at me, but one doesn't want to assume these things. So he asked me to dinner. I think the next day I was heading back to DC from New York 2 days after. And he suggested a restaurant in Midtown. I was staying wherever the hell I was staying. And I was to set the scene. I was, I'd just been fired from a very bad job and then I dyed my hair silver. Okay. So I was in a bad place emotionally. If my roots were showing. So worst place emotionally, kind of low grade manic episode. I was writing in the Village all day. And then maybe like 30 minutes before dinner, I realized, I should probably look up this place and see what it is. I look it up. It's a Michelin-starred restaurant. It's like really ritzy. I'm in a t-shirt and jeans, and I have my roots showing. And I get there, and they're like, yeah, you need a jacket to come in here. It's like, I don't have a jacket. And the gal very sweetly loaned me a jacket. They had a loaner jacket, so I did that. Beautiful. I had a lovely meal. Indian food. Delicious. Janoon. Shout out. Beautiful restaurant. Afterwards, we went to Marie's Crisis in the Village, where there was like a dueling piano thing or like a sing-along going on. Ordinarily, I despise that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cannot get away from it fast enough. But it just, on that particular evening, it was lovely. And that was that. And then, I remember we went back to, we went somewhere else after Marie's Crisis. I can't quite remember. But
I don't like that as a name for a restaurant or like a bar. Marie's Crisis?
Yeah, it was the Crisis of Marie's Crisis. Legendary kind of place in the Village, I think. That was it. That was really lovely. And it was it was probably, dinner was probably something like 7 and, went on to the wee hours of the morning, like Marie's Crisis. So it was like a long haul date sort of in that way.
Right, where it like never ended.
Yeah, it was just a darling time.
Mm-hmm. Conversation was easy.
Yeah, very, very easy.
I think that's what made my date, like, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, the sushi guy was way worse, like a way worse person. It was just with the life coach. It was like the conversation was just, it was so fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
And there was just nothing there.
I mean, in my youth, if I was ever out with somebody, first off, what would happen is you'd go out with somebody and you'd never call it a date because that would make it too formal and then everybody'd get weird about it. So there was always like, yeah, we're going to go out for drinks. And then, you're like, what are we doing? And then if the conversation was better, like, okay, maybe we can still salvage a good night out of this if, get them good and loaded and take them home. And then maybe we'll see what happens. But nowadays, even with platonic friends or acquaintances, if the conversation is lacking, I'm going to tell you, I'm really fucking bored right now and I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And have done that.
The weird thing I'm noticing with dating now is almost dinner's out. Nobody's getting dinner anymore. It's coffee or drinks. I don't drink alcohol anymore, and I don't have a problem going and getting like a ginger beer, Diet Coke, whatever, while the person drinks a glass of wine. But they always do. They always feel so strange about it. And I'm like, I just could not give 2 fucks less if you get drunk. I really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the worst dates other than that Icelandic man in Seattle. That has been, without a doubt, my worst dates have all been in Seattle. Worst experiences have all been in Seattle with men. Some in the water. And I was on a date with a guy. He split, if I recall, his time between Atlanta and Seattle because he worked for Delta Airlines.
Oh, yeah.
And
all of my friends who have ever worked there hate it. I mean, they get really good benefits and they get paid well, but it's just a fucking grind.
Yeah, I don't know what his story was. He wasn't an aeroplane attendant. What? Flight attendant. Go fuck yourself. Don't look at me like that. Anyway.
You dumb, stupid fool.
And so we go to a restaurant on Cap Hill in Seattle, and at this point, I was probably, I don't know, sober for a long time. Anyway. And I get my Diet Coke out for dinner. He's like, oh, you don't want to have a margarita or anything? It's like, oh, no, I don't drink alcohol. He says, oh, then just get a glass of wine. I said, yeah. I said, oh, no, I'm fine with my Diet Coke for health. That'll do just fine. And he's like, so wait, you're not going to have anything? I'm going to sit here and have a couple margaritas and you're not going to join me at all. Would not let it go. And I said, nope, that's what I'm telling you. I mean, I might upgrade and get a bubble water and some lime if I want to get fancy, but for now, the Diet Coke's fabulous.
Yeah.
And then he says, so what happened? And I said, oh, we've only just met.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's not get into it.
I had a guy who I was like seeing regularly for 3 or 4 months, like, and it was never going to go farther than just like hanging out, having fun. And he would literally, one year on my birthday, he was like, he brought me like a mini bottle of wine. And I was like, I don't drink. And he was like, here's when you start again for now, And I was like, what are you talking about?
That's insane.
You've never known me to drink.
Oh, wow.
We've never had a single drink together. Why would you bring me a little bottle of wine? I hate that man that did that to you at that restaurant.
Yeah, that was dumb and bad. That wasn't even the worst part of the date because we went out after to go meet up some mutual friends, and he got drunker and drunker, as you do when you drink. And one of his friends that was there started hitting on me, and I had to tell his friend at the time was Chinese, probably still is. And the Chinese friend is hitting on me really aggressively. And so I'm trying to tell him, I'm like, I'm here with your friend. You get it? Like,
okay. So what was the date set up? It was a double date? Was it?
No, it was me and Mr. Man. We got dinner, and then we were to meet up with.
I'm laughing because that's what Kathy Bates calls Jim Khan in Misery. Mr. Man.
Yeah, me and Mr. Man. We got dinner and then went to.
You poop.
That's Anne Ramsey. And then we went to our place in Seattle in Cap Hill to meet up with Chinese friend, and then a couple other people and some guys that I knew were there too. So it was, a big sort of like, we'll do dinner and then have a group, kiki, whatever. I hate that term. And Chinese friend is really like laying it on thick. And it's just like, to me, I'm not trying to entertain that. I'm like, I'm here with your friend. Mm-hmm. If you're friends with your friend, you're going to stop hitting on me this way because that's just not lovely to do to your friend. He wasn't getting the hint. And so I told him, and he would do it in front of everybody else. And I didn't know everybody in that way. And I didn't know I was leaving Seattle also at the time. So I figured like, I might be here a while. I probably don't want to
make an enemy.
Yeah. So then I told him in Chinese in front of these other people. I gave him the courtesy of telling him in Chinese that like, I'm not into you. I don't like you. And I don't want you to talk to me like this. And so nobody knew what I was saying, but he got very upset and left right away. Mission failed successfully.
Did he know you spoke Chinese before? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I mean, we talked about it just in the brief hour that we got to know each other, But my date at that point was very drunk, and I go up and I told him, I said, your friend was being really forward and made me really uncomfortable. Just so you know, that's why he stormed out. And my date, he rolls his eyes and he goes, why do my friends never like the guys I date? And I said, all right. Well, so the part about him like groping me at the bar, I didn't like that. Mm-hmm. And he goes, it's an aspirational thing. You should just let him.
Okay. Jail.
Yeah, again, jaw on the floor. Okay. I said, what the Kentucky Fried Fuck does that even mean? And my date at which point sours on me at that very moment. I can see it in his eyes that are just a little too far apart. And he, we're around a fire pit at Pony, a gay bar on the hill. We've at this point reached Pony's, and there's a group of strangers around this. And they ask him like, oh, so who's here? Who knows who? And they look at my date and they're like, oh, so you're here? Is that your date? And he goes, no. Disowned me like Christ.
That's okay. Fucked up.
And then I'm texting my sister who was living in Seattle. She was a SheMT at the time. And I'm texting her just to let her know about what a train wreck, an absolute dumpster fire my evening is becoming. And then I realized, fuck, I left my coat at his apartment. I got to go back and get my coat. I'm not taking an L on this coat. And so I'm trying to get him to settle up so that we can leave. And so he says, okay, fine, we can go. He goes to the bar. I thought he's going to settle. He comes back with 4 more drinks. And then he just settles in for a long night. It's already probably 12:30 in the evening. And it's like, okay, we've got to go. I need to get my coat. I need to go home. I finally nag him enough that he like downs all of his drinks really quick. And we get into an Uber to go back. And my sister's texting me, and my sister calls me at this point. And I don't answer it. I just click silent. And then he looks over in the back of this car and he goes, who's that? I said, oh, it's my sister. He says, you going to get that? I said, no, it's good. I'll talk to her soon. He goes, is that really your sister?
What the fuck?
I said, yes, it's really my sister. And he goes, liar. I said, I'm going to beat this man to death in the back of somebody else's car. I'm going to fasten my hands around his neck until he stops breathing. I'm going to get his keys, going to go to the apartment, going to get my coat. I'm going to excuse myself. And that'll be that. I held it together. I just looked out the window, turned bodily away from him, turned my back on him until we got to the place. We get to his apartment. I get my coat, and I get my coat and turn on my heel and walk to the door. And he flops onto the couch and he goes, It's probably better you're going. I'm really drunk. I don't think I can do anything tonight.
And what did you do?
Without another word, I left. I didn't even shut the door behind me. I just left, and that was that.
Do you keep tabs on these people? Like, do you go back and creep on them to see what they're up to, or is this man just like lost in the wind?
I mean, I think I had a mutual friend had referenced him, so I looked him up maybe a couple years ago. That's how I know he's been in Atlanta. But he texted me the next. I mean, I drove home in a towering rage. I was just so angry. I should have killed him on the spot. And the next day, he texted me. And he said something like, "Oh man, sorry I got so drunk last night. Hope it wasn't too awful." And I wrote him back one message. I said, "Let's never speak again."
Okay, you've taken the cake. I feel like mine have always just been awkward in terms of like the guy's a dud, or like he's way too into anime, or like way too into video games, or just is more or less like incompatible. But I've never, I guess, been, well, okay, I guess you've let me in on the sushi thing. Was pretty bad. I'm trying to think of if I was ever blatantly disrespected in the way that you were.
I mean, so there was another guy in DC that, and this guy was, he was on one of those awful dodgeball teams. He was like the captain of one of his teams, had a million friends. And I met him out at whatever stupid bar it was, because a bunch of my friend Tom, hi Tom, was, they always do mixers, kickball mixers, I mean, and it's just the same faggots get together, drink, and then get messy. And that evidently constitutes a social life in Washington, D.C. Tom, I'm so glad you got out there. And while I was there, I met this guy. He's a photographer, and he wasn't, he had a sort of, I think he was from Buffalo, New York. So he had kind of a rougher sort of aesthetic to him, edge to him that wasn't like polished and buttoned up like most other DC guys are. So that was what initially I was like, oh, I can fuck with this. But he was just I read the diary entry I'd written, the journal entry I'd written about that night. It reads like an Anais Nin diary entry. It's just like...
for those of you who don't know, she had a husband in the East Coast and the West Coast at the same time.
Legendary.
And like, what, 1940? So she was way ahead of her time as far as...
Amazing, right?
Royal kind. Yeah.
Everybody read Anais Nin. Amazing. Yeah. Anyway, so he got real drunk. He was insistent that we do a scooter to go from one bar to the other. I refused point blank to get on a scooter with him in DC traffic when he was drunk. He tried to turn it into this emotional blackmail thing where I didn't trust him. And then when we got to the second bar, the Dirty Goose, as I recall, we go up and he was drunk enough that he was getting physical with me. And like, it was to him flirty. To me, it was extremely unwelcome. Yeah. Where I started getting... like, he would smack my ass as we were walking around. I have to turn to like, do not touch me. Mm-hmm. You're drunk. I don't want you hitting me. Yeah. And then we were at the bar, and I think a Paramore song was on. It gets the whites turned. The whites love Paramore. I love Paramore. Yeah. Haley Williams. And got me going. Whatever the lyric was, it was like, hey, fuck you. I don't know what the song is, but he just got there and he slaps me across the face. What? Just... like out of nowhere, I turned around and just, hey, fuck you, slapped me. And again, there's a series of different responses brainily that I reached for in the moment. One was take glass from table, smash it across his face. Two was turn on my heel and leave without another word. But he then threw me a wild card because I put my hand to my face. I said, did you just fucking hit me? Like, as if I needed, him to gaslight me about it. And he looks at me and he bursts into tears. What do you do when the man who just assaulted you starts crying? The choose your own adventure. Now, this is a rooftop bar, and so there's a thing. And part of me was... yeah, what was it called again? Dirty Goose. And part of me was going to be like, lean in and tell him to jump off the balcony. Destroy him. Yeah, the inside out. Put your hands on his shoulders, pull him close as if to hug him and say, there's no coming back from this. You should just jump. I have a lethal dose of potassium in my left pocket. Reach in and give it to yourself. Oh my God. Yeah. So he starts crying, and he, I think it hit him. He's like, oh my God, I hit this guy. I didn't, I'm drunk. What? I hit somebody. I don't.
Was he ever able to rationalize it?
I don't know. I have no clue.
How do you just what kind of faggot gets that worked up from Haley Williams to where you have to hit someone?
I was so, I mean, again, also a common theme for bad dates for me is I leave it in a towering rage. I remember we left the bar together and I left him on the sidewalk because it occurred to me he might be self-harming. His emotional downturn was so precipitous and so intense that part of my brain was like, wow, he might actually hurt himself. And so I somehow just like, okay, let's just get off the rooftop and down to the sidewalk. And then I'm going to toddle home.
You take the stairs, he just jumps.
Yeah. So we get down to the sidewalk and I tell him, I was like, I'm going home. I don't care how you get home. I'm leaving. And I left. And of course, on my walk home, I call several of the bro fags in DC. One of them being Tom. Hi, Tom. And every single one of them, no one was upset. Nobody was like, oh my God, are you okay? Not a single fucking one of them. I think Tom gave me a oof. One of my friends, my Michigander, he gave me a, oh, sorry, mister. And then the only person who evinced even the slightest bit of concern for my safety was my Trump voting gay friend in Florida.
Boo.
Hi, Chris. That was the only person. Of course, all the women in my life, when I told them about this date, they were like, oh, we're marching. We're ready to go. We're getting the pitchforks and the torches. We're going to find him. Every homosexual in my orbit, every DC homosexual was like, what, did you come? I'm like, not a bad joke, but not the right moment.
Listen, you don't deserve to have been hit. I'll tell you that. But I can tell you exactly what your gay friends were thinking, which is that you have a fucking mouth on you. Okay, so it's not that I will never hit you, but I absolutely understand why someone would.
Listen, when you've had the shit kicked out of you by as many cab drivers as I have, you get to know.
Okay, so I'm realizing something. You will go on dates with anyone.
Sure. Yeah. I think with the most of the men that I've been on dates with recently, especially, it's because I've met them in the wild, in person.
Sure.
And whatever the thing was, it happened organically, the connection, right? So I can't remember the last time I'd met anybody on an app, for instance, or being even on Instagram, whatever the fuck else. And then done like, hey, let's do a date, capital D date, or hey, let's go and get, coffee or whatever. And then, everybody both knows that's a date. That's it. It just hasn't worked out that way. Normally it's, I meet somebody in the world and then I'll say, oh my God, like that guy in recovery who I met at the cafe.
Yeah.
Same thing where it just, the other guy, either I went up and talked to him and it happened that where he came up and talked to me, but that's usually where it starts from. And listen, color me surprised. I thought that might have been a good screen. Okay. So for some of the worst of the online dates, but color me surprised.
I feel like getting asked out in person, I'm way more likely to say yes, just because I respect it so much. Like I've been asked out at the gym a few times and like I most of the time, there's only been one time where I'm like, I said no, but I lied. I was like, oh, I have a boyfriend. And I know, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend. He's like, oh, damn,
I have been so ruthless.
Meanwhile, I'm like at home crying because I'm so lonely. Yeah.
So there was, a guy came up and talked to me at a thrift store I was shopping at. And I was so mean to him. And this was before I had my motor car. And so I didn't feel like taking the bus home. And so this guy was chatting me up and he comes up to me and we're friends now, this guy and I. But he comes up to me, he's like, were we just talking? And I, out of nowhere,
I hate when people, I know where this is going.
I said to him, like, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he says, I said, I have no idea who you are. What do you want? And then he says, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had been chatting on whatever it was. It just, I lose track of things.
He reaches across, grabs your nose. I got your nose.
Oh my God, pardon me. Pull my finger.
Yeah.
And he then holds up 2 shirts. He's like, well, while I've got your attention,
hey,
do you like this one or this one? And then he holds up a gray shirt and a red shirt. And so I said, and he's like, I like the gray one. I said, well, if you want to leave no impression whatsoever, go with the gray one. And he goes, oh, okay. And then he goes and puts the shirt, the gray shirt back, and I go about my day. And then what do you know? We're leaving the store at the same time. And he says, I'd love to take you out for a drink sometime. And I just looked him up and down. I said, I don't drink alcohol. And then just kept walking. he says, oh, well, I mean, we could go and do a coffee. And it was probably June. And so I just looked up at this guy and said, it's hot out. You can buy me an iced coffee now. And we went around the corner to the cafe. He bought me an iced coffee.
And when that date ended, I evaporated into a bat and flew away.
Right. No, it went further. We talked for a while. He even fun to talk to, but it just, where you could do it was like fucking 1 p.m. on a Sunday. And then, he says, I'm parked around the corner. You want to go somewhere? I said, where on earth do you think you're taking me? Mm-hmm. He says, I don't know, back to my place or, somewhere else. I said, no, but drive me home. And so that he drives me home. And he's, as we get to we're on Santa Monica weaving in and out of traffic, and we get to Fairfax, and he says, I should probably let you know, I've got a husband. He lives in
fucking A. God, I hate gay people. Says, I hate gay people. Goes, I guess this wasn't set up in advance, but no, I keep going.
So he says, I've got a husband. He lives in Palm Springs. And I said, oh, don't be so fucking tedious. He goes, what? And I said, I'm so bored. I forget what he recovered with, what he just changed the set. He said it's a very companionate relationship. And I said, I really cannot express to you how little I give a shit about your failing marriage. Mm-hmm. And then we get to my street, and I had him drop me off a block further than where I live because I'm a clever girl. Okay, I've been hit before. And I get out of the car, and and that was that. That was I ran into him, I think, maybe once more in LA and then a couple times in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
We're friends now. It's
okay. Do you have sex with people on the first date?
What do you take me for? Kim Davis? Of course I do. Boom! There it is. Sure. I if it's a bad date, mm-hmm. we are absolutely don't get ahead of me. Not gonna have sex. If the conversation was terrible and I hated it, chances are we're not going to bed. As a woman of a certain age, I'm not doing it anymore. In my 20s, I might have suffered it because then the reptile brain was okay, good. You can catch him now.
Mm-hmm. Every relationship I've been in, well, number one has ended. But number two, we slept with each other on the first date. Or actually, I guess that's not true. The last one I was in, it was a second date, but it was the day after. So it was kind of...
I've never put any stock in that and going slow that way or that never is just in and of itself meaningful to me. Mm-hmm. We didn't sleep together on the first. If we don't sleep together on the first date in this day and age, I'm thinking, he's just not that into me, mm-hmm. and I'm moving on. I've already deleted your number. It's like with the Englishman. So the next morning after when we go to part ways, mind you, he's hungover. He's not on a lot of sleep. Whatever else, I buy him a coffee at the cafe, and we go to leave. He gives me just a very collegial hug to leave.
Awkward.
I almost deleted his number just as soon as he walked away. I was I will never see him again. Yeah. That was a, okay, buddy. That was how that went. And then, of course, we ended up dating for...
You fist bump, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. It was that kind of thing. So usually I'm, that if it doesn't happen, if there's no chemistry, no spark like that, you can tell very quickly. Mm-hmm. I've had another terrible date of mine in Seattle. We went out to breakfast, which is a weird date.
Hate.
Yeah.
Dates should not be in the morning.
No, agree. I think this one was, I had wanted to give him a shot because it would just seem like an unusual thing. I was maybe this could be fine. Mm-hmm. And spoiler, was not. He booked us for a reservation at a fucking buffet. Salties.
At the Golden Corral?
No, it was expensive. It was Salties on fucking Alki Beach in Seattle.
Okay.
Really fucking expensive. And I remember showing up and I just felt this lump in my throat. I was this is going to be bad. Mm-hmm. It's a buffet. It's a tourist buffet and it's expensive. Yeah. I go in and he worked in finance in Seattle and he piled up this gigantic plate and just cranked open crab legs and just eating with both hands, feeding his... a bib, butter sauce, everything that works.
Best Stiller at the end of Dodgeball.
No, it was Dennis Quaid in The Substance.
Oh, and bitch.
I had a bagel with just I waved cream cheese over the bagel. I had been sliced up cantaloupe, and that was it.
He just sneezed all over it.
Yeah. And the conversation was so bad and so stilted and uninteresting about finance. And at one point, he got up and left the table for so long, I thought he just ditched me. Mm-hmm. And then, no, he came back with another plate piled high with food. Like he powered through the first platter and then brought back another 2 kilograms of foodstuffs to be not even remotely out of shape, in very good shape physically.
Yeah.
Boy, could he.
Wow.
And so I get through the rest of the conversation. We leave. He generously pays for the bill because he ate 11 kilograms of seafood. And I bebopped my way back up to wherever the hell I was staying. And so he messages me. He said, I'd love to get together again. And I wrote back and said, did not feel a spark at all. Thank you very much for breakfast. This is where I leave you. And he said, don't be ridiculous. I said, don't you Uno reverse me. And he's like, chemistry is a thing that develops over time. I said, yeah, I'm telling you, I don't feel it and I don't care to develop it. And he said, I'm going to have my lawyer look into you. So good luck trying to get a job in this town.
Did he seriously say that? Holy shit, who are you going on dates with?
This must have been in 2015. This was a grinder date for sure.
Lindsey Graham.
This was just some finance bro in Seattle.
I feel like that's who I'm probably most compatible with because everyone thinks I want like these artsy fartsy people. And I think I just want, I've joked before, but billing specialists too. I want buy the books. I want normal.
Pay my specialist too.
Yeah. Asks like very little questions. Is going to go and do the leaves in the yard. Like I
don't know.
Unless I guess finance bros can be cocky though. And that I don't do well with at all.
Yeah. He was mentioning all sorts of stuff about portfolios and what's going to grow and what's not. And it was just so fucking dull.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an incredibly bad date. Still not the worst, but that was maybe top 4.
You know what? I actually had an experience in LA. It was like my first 6 months of living here too. It was like the shortest date I've probably ever been on. It ended very abruptly. The conversation was going great. He was a good looking guy. Like I was excited to meet him, whatever. It felt like things were going well. Very abruptly, he's like, oh, I need to go and give my grandma her handicap parking pass back. I was like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, no, I have to go do that because she needs it for the morning. It was like 8:30 at night. I was like, okay.
He hated you.
No, I know. I was like, and then I was like, that lie, like that was such a specific thing to say where I'm like, that must have been true, but then he never followed up again. So I was like, wait, he dipped on me. And so then I was like trying to remember, like, what did I say that like icked him out that bad? Or
see, yeah, you can drive yourself nuts trying to figure that out.
I was like, okay, new to LA, that's a red flag. Cause I think, and then I met another person who I went on a date with that was better, but like it just didn't work out. And then I saw him actually this last summer and he's like, oh, you're still living here? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, it's just typically when people move to LA, they only last about a year or two. And so I remember thinking like, maybe it's cause I'm new to LA. Maybe it's because I'm a screenwriter and people think like, oh, suffering and trying to pursue comedy, you know?
Sure.
So I'm like, yeah. I don't come absent of red flags, but I just was like, damn.
I can't come without a red flag myself. Woo boom! There it is. I can tell you, I have certainly been somebody, well, maybe not certainly, but I have a compelling experience where I was probably somebody's worst date.
What was that?
DC. I'd just come back from, my David and I did a trip through San Francisco and Carmel and LA. And then he went back to New York and I was back to DC. And I was on the metro from the airport, headed home. And this very, very good looking, probably 30 something my age at the time, guy across the way, he started talking to me on the metro like an insane person, but it was charming. And he made some offhanded, like, it's always somebody visiting. And in retrospect, that is in and of itself a red flag where, somebody freights the interaction with that much.
Gay people do that all the time. They're like, oh, it's just because he lives in another city. I'm like, that's the only reason you fucking like him.
Yeah. So I told him, I was like, no, I'm actually coming home. I said I was traveling in California. And I don't think I sit with my boyfriend or with, my long distance boyfriend who has just been diagnosed with a very, very terminal cancer. You know what I mean? Like a lot to get into on the train. And so, he finds me on the gram and we exchange a few messages. And normally the way that I'll try and, square the circle of like, is it a date? Is like, if it's low impact and low stakes, I'm going to call it snacks. Let's go get snacks. That's fine. That's just,
I think I hate that.
Yeah. It has not been testing well with focus groups. We go get sushi And he's a DC gay, and he's even worse. He's a DC gay who also loves fucking Burning Man.
Oh,
and also plays dodgeball, kickball, all of that.
Please.
So the fact that he's able to string sentences together and, recognize his own reflection in a mirror and also lob a question my way once every 20 minutes was impressive enough on its own. But, as we're at sushi near the Crew Club, near the Bathhouse of DC.
I didn't like how you made me familiar to that. You pointed at me when
you know this place.
I do. It's absolutely terrifying.
I think something came up where I mentioned David and mentioned that I have been traveling with a long distance boyfriend, and his entire fucking demeanor changed. And he says, "Oh, see, I thought that when you would, go out with somebody," and he stops the sentence there. And this one I could tell he had a flair for a bit of the dramatic. And he goes, "I used to live in New York." And he said, and I was out clubbing one night, and this guy and we really hit it off, and he wanted to drive me home, or drive to take me home. And so we're driving through Manhattan, and then all of a sudden we're getting to the bridge, and then all of a sudden we're across the bridge, and the car dies on this big hill in New Jersey. And I look at him and I say, if I'd known I was coming to New Jersey, I would not have come out with you. And so I looked at him and I said, if I were the reflective sort, I'd say that story was a commentary on the state right now. But I'm not going to be reflective right now. And I said, "Oh, more sushi." And it comes in. Later on, we leave. I sent him a message. I said, "Really sorry about whatever miscommunication seemed to have occurred. I definitely could have, in retrospect, upfront, be like, back off. I've got a boyfriend."
Right.
Again, that's kind of a psycho way to do it. I said, but,
Were you and David open?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, not in any, it's complicated. We'll get into that in the podcast. But I said, I was like, it totally, I'll fess up. That was my B.
Yep.
I could have been clearer. If you still feel raw about it, we can talk about it. And then I went, boom, sushi joke. And then he blocked me.
There is something just so genuinely frustrating about thinking you've made a connection with someone only to find out that they're in a relationship already and that they're just open and that you're there Friday night versus something more serious. And that is such a real thing, especially in modern day culture.
Yeah. I mean, certainly I can empathize with his irritation in that moment, for sure. I've certainly stumbled into that dynamic enough myself. The only thing that I feel the only slack I'm going to cut myself is that was a trip David and I went on where we had to confront the very real possibility of his probability, the impending mortality.
It was your last trip together. Yeah.
One of them. Yeah. It was a difficult trip. And so, it was not exactly, nothing was as black and white as I would have liked it to have been. Certainly not as black and white as he wanted it to be. And that was the last I ever spoke. I saw him actually just during the pandemic as the Great Plague was coming down and everybody was locking up. I remember I'd taken up running because I hadn't done cardio in however long. And I saw him at Meridian Hill Park, Malcolm X Park, if you're with the struggle. And he, we were at a distance. I said, "Oh, how you been?" He says, "Good." And he's got a picnic basket. I said, "What you up to?" He says, "I'm going to go meet a big group of people for a picnic." And I said, "Ciao for now." Did he survive the plague? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Probably not. Were you ever the worst date for someone?
I don't think, I'm trying to think of any time I got exceptionally shitty or maybe too drunk or something. I genuinely love meeting new people. I enjoy conversation one-on-one. I get lost in group settings because I just don't know how I fit into them. And then I just get overwhelmed. So when I get you one-on-one, I love that. And so I don't know. I don't want to be vain and be no. I would say, for example, with the guy where I was bored to tears, the life coach, he probably thinks I'm boring. Yeah. Because I just wanted it to be over. Yeah. And I kind of shut down and then I have a grumpy face. And so I'm I think people probably will either think if they're not liking me or vibing with me, they're going to think I'm boring or they're going to think I'm aloof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of if I ever really, really bummed someone out immediately upon first impression.
I mean, I guess there's enough times as a drinker where you've probably...
I mean, that's a whole separate story.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but that's usually me pissing off my friends.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I am also so rarely on a capital D date these days, where if we're getting to a point where we've decided to have a date, you've already jumped through a few hoops.
Yeah.
You've already passed a few checks or something like that. Like we've had a conversation somewhere because we met in the real world almost always.
Mm-hmm.
I've done enough testing of you by being either viciously cruel or like volleying. If you can volley with me, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And then, we'll do a dinner or whatever else. But like, I'm definitely not the sort where I'm like, I want to meet a friend of mine in DC. He had a spreadsheet where where he will be like, I want to meet 4 guys a week.
No.
And do, 4 dinners or 4 dates a week. And then, track all of this shit. Like, I could not be fucking bothered.
I don't have that in my personality at all. I see the value to meet as many people as possible, put yourself out there, blah, blah, blah. All of that's great. But to your point, I think the more you stress about dating, the like harder your time is. I do think there's some truth to like, let it find you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm definitely, someone's going to find me at some point. Don't look at me like that. Somebody's going to, maybe my next car accident will be, the big one. I mean, where I meet the one,
I'm just laughing because you are so picky, and I feel like I have a friend where he's really picky, and I remember we were in Milwaukee for my friend's birthday, and he had come to Jesus with like, okay, I need to lower my standards a little bit. And I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, and I've come a really long way, but I do have like 3 non-negotiables. And I was like, okay, that's okay. Like, we all have, expectations or whatever. And he's like, I was like, so what are they? And he was like, well, he needs to be at least 6'2".
Oh boy.
Preferably dark hair, muscular.
Ew. Wow.
And then the third, he needs to make more than $300,000. I was so dead.
Those are my non-negotiables.
I was like, okay, 6% of the general population is gay, right?
Yeah.
And then cut that 6 in half.
Hell yeah.
Because you want dark hair.
Yeah.
So we're at 3%. And of those 3%, they need to make more than $300,000. That's 0.1% of all people. You fucking asshole.
That is so, am I terribly picky with dating?
Yes.
See, earlier you said I'll date anybody, but now you say I'm picky.
Well, I mean,
which is it, sir?
I mean, maybe because you've been hit on a first date, you've become picky, which I understand. That's fucking, now I get it. Now I'm like, oh yeah, no, I wouldn't leave either.
I forgot I got hit. My memory's mashed potatoes.
You've had some pretty harrowing first dates. I thought I had, maybe mine are just boring.
This is like when Jackson Britt and I, and you talked about your rock bottom as a drinker, and we're like, oh, that was bad for you.
That conversation never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
We can find it on Patreon, kids. God, yeah. What are my non-negotiables? He needs to be a talented conversationalist.
He needs to think you're funny.
He definitely needs to find me funny.
He needs to be retired.
That is definitely not true.
65 plus.
No, that's not true either.
You need to be in the will.
You are a monstrous, awful, and unsightly.
You are
calf.
You are Debbie Jelinski from Adam's Family Values, after all.
Oh dear, that is a monstrous imprecation you've thrown my way. That is not even remotely true.
You could really serve as Debbie Jelinski for Halloween. You could make that happen like easy.
Sure. Oh, we'll get Elliot to get me all whammed up and makeup.
Not Nicole Page Brooks.
Yeah.
Whammed up.
Get all whammed up. Thank you, Nicole Page Brooks, friend of the pod. Yeah. The non-negotiables for me are almost all, like you have to, if you don't find me funny, we're fighting. Like, we are going to fight a lot. That's maybe the big one. I need to be amusing to you in some way, shape, or form.
Mine are, you need to know who you are. You need to care about other people. And you need to want to be somebody. You don't have to be somebody yet, but you have to want to go somewhere, and you have to like not want to be stagnant. I don't give a fuck. I like get into astrology and I know all of it. I don't give a fuck really about any of that. It's just like, you just have to be like a decent human that cares about others and yourself.
Do they have to be decent? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. What if you're on a date, date's going well, service is terrible, and he does not tip 20%. In fact, he tips 10%.
I actually, so this just happened recently. I was like, oh, I noticed you didn't tip. What's that about? We were at a coffee shop, and he was like, it was $8. And I was like, no, I know, but that's not the barista's fault.
Listener, the intensity of Lucas's smile right now and the fixated eye contact has made me sweat. I've broken out into a cold sweat.
No, I literally, and then I had to be like, oh, I used to be a server. And so that was like how I made my livelihood. When I was
it was a waiter. That was at a cafe. You said cafe. Like, are we talking like a countertop coffee? Like
yeah. You know, the ones where you don't really tip either. And so I told him, and he was like, well, I know, it's just like, they just made my cup of coffee and I think they're paid a normal wage. And I was like, that's really fair. I just think
that's fair. That is so.
I know what you do for. I almost just outed him. I was like, I know what you do for work, and I just think you could probably like lose like $1 or $2 each time you get a coffee. Just to know. I did go on multiple dates with him, and we are cool. But I did call him out like immediately. But I actually think if you're abrupt like that right off the bat, it actually helps the date, because there is something about a playful exchange like that actually,
I'm sure,
loosens both parties up.
Yeah. I mean, it is a confrontation. You initiated a confrontation with your date, and you wanted to see how he was going to respond to you being confrontational and calling out shitty.
And not to be like, give myself compliments or anything, but I think I am pretty good about like making fun of people, where I'm like not jabbing them with a knife or slitting their throat like you. But I like playfully like poked at them. But it was also like very true of like, that's fucked up that you didn't tip.
Interesting. Huh.
But it also just depends too. Like if he would have handled it like a douchebag, or like, oh, I never tip or whatever, then I might have like felt a different type of way about it.
Sure. The response is always going to tell you. It's like how he responds will tell you as much as the response itself. Yeah. See, you do want to try and find the, what's the back entrance, the back door to that kind of a, to somebody's character. Because when you're on a date, you're supposed to be on your best behavior. And especially when it comes to men and women have it so hard, because a man is going to say anything. He was marching at the, fucking anti-Trump rallies. He was knitting pussy hats. And he, voted for Hillary 3 times. You know what I mean?
What's a pussy hat?
Those ugly pink hats that everybody was knitting after Trump won.
Sure.
Anyway, a man is going to spin any number of yarns and fables to try and get dames to give him the time of day. And so a dame has to know, how do I find out who this man really is and ask a question of him without him knowing what I'm asking? And I've been trying to figure out what that, and I guess my strategy of just direct confrontation and, poking at them to see how they react is instructive, but maybe not.
I also just have I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
no, our listeners can't see you, but I do. And one thing I've found has been actually an interesting, this is maybe more of like a third or fourth date, like once you've gotten to know somebody, but asking them either, when's the last time you had to give a good apology? Like what makes up a good apology for you? So that one it can feel a little ham-fisted if it's not done carefully.
Yeah.
But if you can get somebody to expound on the nature of what a good apology is, or like if they've ever had to give a good apology, that tells you so much about how they resolve conflict, about how they...
I'm just picturing all of the dates I've like recently gone on, and just picturing some of them just squirm, because there are some people who just do not like attention like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so interesting. That's a good question though.
The other one I was getting with a lot of my gal pals in DC especially, was ask the man who his favorite stand-up comic is.
Oh, great.
And that tells you so the fuck much, and they won't even fucking know that's what you're asking. And there's the obvious, like if he says Joe Rogan, obvious red flag.
Right.
Matt Rife, obviously red flag.
Okay.
Chappelle, You're like, when? Chappelle back when? Because that's a red flag. That means you haven't advanced past mid-2000s culturally. Yeah. Chappelle now? What are your thoughts on the trans? Are you down with the dolls? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So there's another straight friend of mine. He suggested to ask him who his favorite athlete is, because that's going to tell you about what he thinks a manly man should be like, what, model of masculinity he seems to idolize. Like, whoa, sports, I don't fucking do that shit, but comics that I can handle.
Right.
So ladies, if you're listening out there, ask him who his favorite athlete is. Ask him who his favorite stand-up comic is. And if you don't know the names, you take those names down. Mm-hmm. Okay? You look them up. You figure out what he got.
The answer is always Louis Anderson. He was the host of the Family Feud in the early 2000s. The answer is always Louis Anderson.
He's my favorite athlete too.
The Emmy winner. Did you ever watch Baskets?
No.
He was in drag. He played Zach Galifianakis' mom.
No.
Yeah, he's great.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So do you have any secret back doors that you like to exploit?
No, honey, do I have a secret back door, baby?
Oh, well, honey.
You'll have to see me later at Diagon Alley. Or no. What's it called?
So Lucas just remembered he's a transphobe with that Harry Potter reference.
No shit. What's it called?
Do you mean Vaseline Alley?
Vaseline Alley. Oh, honey, do you want to see my back door?
Honey, Lucas is down with the dolls, just to clear the record. Loves the dolls.
No, the secret to just a good first date, be genuinely interested. Ask questions. Don't wait to fucking talk.
Oh, yeah.
It's not hard. Just be an interesting person who's interested.
Okay, period. So what if I'm not interesting?
Don't go on dates.
Oh, I see.
Stay home.
And
get interesting. Oh, get a hobby.
Got it.
Don't wait to find someone and then find yourself through that person.
See, this is where we need Ceci back on, because she's doing the research. She's out in the trenches.
That's right.
Talking to these incels. I mean, on a date, there's a lot of men and a lot of women were taking sort of like count of how long it took before a man asked them a question on the date.
There was a whole thing, but like 3 or 4 years ago, where there was like this trend where men would say the wrong thing to see if girls would correct them.
Yes.
And if the girl corrected them, they would dump them. But if the girl who didn't correct them, that was like wife material.
Matt Gaetz, you remember, famous child
yes.
Sex trafficker and pedophile Matt Gaetz.
Thigh face, yeah.
He would call it thigh food. And if the dame had the temerity to correct his pronunciation, he'd toss her on the pile of the rest of on the dustbin of history.
Dirtbag.
Matt Gaetz, you are a colossal failure as a human being, but you can still resign and go on a healing journey.
Mm-hmm. And write a book, make millions.
No, don't do that. Give away all your money, get all of that gas station silicone sucked out of your face, disappear forever into the mountains of the Ozarks. Do the Ozarks. Yeah. I want to say so many more things, but you keep
talking. I was going to say, we're gonna stop with the first and last names. Especially
he's a public figure.
Even when threats follow. Our legal team, we keep hearing from them. Here at the Let's Get Bread podcast.
Our severely overworked legal team.
I mean, we are blowing up. I mean, we're the greatest podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Some are saying.
Yeah. I was stopped on the street. I wasn't, but for the purposes of the story, I was.
Yeah, first dates. I don't know. I'm hitting the pavement hard. I'm getting myself back out there, and it's good. I've met a lot of really incredible people. No suitors yet.
I hated the delivery of that. I've met a lot of really incredible people.
Yeah, they're
incredible. As in, can't believe
we're not a vibe necessarily. We're not a match. We're not a item.
Uh-huh.
But
but they're incredible.
But I've met some really interesting people.
Okay. Interesting I can deal with. Incredible? Let's not get...
Listen, I'm generous with my words. What can I say?
God, I wish you were just more solicitous with your choice of them, but that's maybe why you're single.
Look, I'm just finding myself, okay?
It's so important for a man to find himself.
I was in and out of relationships in my 20s, and I just decided, my 30s are for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so rarely in relationships. That maybe is because I'm naturally objectionable, just as per usual. But
yeah.
I can't be bothered generally.
I love relationships. I prefer them. I'm also not like a outgoing, like, I don't know. I can be outgoing once I get there. I'm fine, but getting there is hard. And so I just like the consistency of a partner. Yeah.
Mm.
When they show up for me, unlike you on this fucking podcast, you pushed us back 3 hours today.
I did. I was, true story, writing a musical about Kim Davis.
And that's show business.
That's showbiz, baby. Yeah, so I was on a creative high. I took a square of mushroom chocolate and inspiration struck. I was making turkey broth stock with the carcass from Thanksgiving dinner, which I cooked for you.
You're done.
And 10 other people.
Listen, we've overstayed our welcome, but kids, it's been real. It's been fun. What the hell? It's been real fun.
Remember, kids, get out there and get on those dates. Okay, kids, and you ask them who's their favorite stand-up comic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so instead of the red flags, let me give you some green flags. All right, and here's this lightning round. If they say their favorite stand-up comic is Zach Noe Towers, you marry this man. Okay, you take him home, you make him blast rope, and you keep him. You make him want to stay around because that's a keeper. He says his favorite stand-up comic is Laurie Kilmartin. You cut yourself a feminist, and that man is a keeper. Okay, chances are, what's your green flags in a man when he says his comics?
I love Nikki Glazer.
Not you. Okay, so fundamental misunderstanding of the question here.
Mm-hmm.
You're advising your female.
You've set me up, and now I'm embarrassed on my very own podcast.
You're advising your gal pals.
Mm-hmm.
Say, okay, when they ask this man, they're on a date with the question about who his favorite comic is.
Oh, I was
a green flag that the man says, "Oh, I love."
If he says Nikki Glazer, I think that's a major green flag, especially if it's a woman. I think she speaks to a lot of women right now. She's blowing up. Lisa Traeger, I love.
You are just willfully misunderstanding my question. And I think it's
do they have to be male comics?
No, it has to be. All right. There's a vein throbbing in my forehead. So in this scenario, you're telling a girlfriend of yours about whom you care very deeply.
Stop yelling at me. I'm going to come. Stop it.